The academy floated above the swirling green and blue of the planet below. Its tall towers gleamed under the sun, reflecting off the polished metal and glass surfaces. Ships from dozens of worlds docked at its ports, bringing trainees eager to prove themselves. Each student believed they were the fastest, the strongest, or the cleverest. But the academy had a way of testing those beliefs. It separated those who were talented from those who were truly extraordinary. Princess Leora walked through the main hall with an air of confidence. Her eyes, a brilliant shade of violet, scanned the bustling students as if she could see their strengths and weaknesses at a glance. She had visited many academies before, but this one was special. Its trainees were among the finest in the galaxy, and she had come to observe, judge, and perhaps be impressed. Her attention soon fell on a group of trainees practicing in the simulation chamber. The trainees wore suits that monitored their physical abilities, reflexes, and decision-making. Some of the aliens moved with precision, their every step perfect, their every strike calculated. But one trainee caught her eye, Kale. He was human. Small, slightly uncoordinated, and far from the graceful movements of the others. Many aliens in the room glanced at him and smirked, whispering among themselves. Humans never survive the first week, one said quietly. Another shook their head. He will fail. Watch him stumble. Leora's brow arched. She had seen humans before, but they were often dismissed as fragile or unskilled. This one, however, moved differently. Not with the precision of the others, but with something else. Something unpredictable. Kale was aware of the stares, but he ignored them. He focused on the simulation screen before him, where holographic creatures attacked in waves. His hands moved fast, but not perfectly. Sometimes he faltered, but he corrected himself quickly. He had learned to watch, to listen, and to react in ways no alien had taught him. The simulation began to escalate. The holographic creatures grew faster, stronger, and more aggressive. Many trainees panicked. Some were thrown to the ground, stunned, or knocked out. Leora leaned closer, curious. Kyle, on the other hand, seemed calm. He moved in ways that were not expected. He didn't fight blindly. He dodged, he feinted, he used the environment. A predator simulation lunged at him from the side. Kale jumped over it, rolled, and landed behind another hologram, pushing it into a corner. The alien trainees whispered among themselves. Luck, one said. He got lucky, another said. But Leora shook her head. Luck could not explain his movements. His instincts were sharp, almost natural. Before she could analyze further, an alarm blared through the academy. Red lights flashed, and a voice echoed through the hall. Warning: Apex predator drones have escaped containment. All personnel, prepare for immediate evacuation. Gasps filled the room. Apex predator drones were not simple simulations. They were advanced combat machines, designed to train elite warriors. Fast, intelligent, and nearly unstoppable. Few could survive an encounter with them. The room froze. Trainees looked at each other, fear written plainly on their faces. Kyle felt his heart race, but not with fear, with focus. His mind quickly calculated the exits, the distances, the possible movements of the drones. He knew this was no longer a simulation. This was real. Leora's eyes widened. She had seen many warriors face simulations, but facing apex predator drones in the real world was different. These drones were relentless. They calculated, adapted, and struck without mercy. As the doors to the training field slid open, the drones appeared. Sleek, metallic, with glowing red eyes, they moved with precision and power. The Academy's security forces rushed forward, but even they hesitated. Most of the trainees froze, Unsure where to go, Kale took a step forward. He wasn't thinking about heroism or bravery. He was thinking about survival. His instincts told him to move, to create space, to observe. He darted to the side, narrowly avoiding a lunge from one of the drones. Leora gasped. He was fast, but not just fast, he was thinking. Every move he made was calculated in an instant, using not just strength, but intelligence and creativity. One drone leapt toward him. Kyle grabbed a loose metal crate nearby, rolled it, and used it as a shield. The drone slammed into it and stumbled, giving him just enough time to run behind another barrier. The other trainees tried to follow, but most were too slow or too scared. Kale moved among them, guiding them, directing them away from danger. He didn't speak much, but his actions communicated clearly. Step by step, he led some of the trainees to safety. Leora followed from above, her expression a mix of astonishment and curiosity. This human, whom she had dismissed at first, was proving something extraordinary. He was not the strongest or the most experienced, but he was surviving. One drone noticed Kale and lunged at him again. This time, he didn't dodge. He ran toward a narrow passage where the drone couldn't turn easily. Using the drone's own momentum, he caused it to crash into a wall, sparking and whirring. Kale didn't pause to watch it fall. He continued to guide the trainees, keeping them moving, keeping them alive. The Academy's alarm systems tried to override the drone's programming, but the machines were too advanced. They adapted quickly, seeking new targets. Kale's instincts kicked in again. He scanned the field and noticed patterns in their movements. They were not random. They predicted the trainees' usual behavior. That's when he realized the secret. Most trainees moved the same way every time. Predictable. But Kale didn't follow routines. He reacted. He adapted. He changed direction, speed, and approach constantly. The drones couldn't anticipate him. Leora felt a thrill run through her. She had never seen a human like this before. Others relied on training, experience, or brute strength. Kale relied on his mind. His instincts were natural, unpredictable, and brilliant. The situation grew more dangerous as more drones approached. Kale had already guided half the trainees to a secure area, but the rest were still in the open. One young alien trainee froze, paralyzed by fear. A drone moved toward him, its red eyes glowing. Kale didn't hesitate. He grabbed a nearby control panel, quickly rewired some circuits, and sent a short pulse. The drone staggered, giving him just enough time to push the trainee to safety. Kale's hands were steady, his mind clear, even as danger surrounded him. Leora could no longer deny it. This human was extraordinary. Not just skilled, but brave, clever, and fast-thinking. He wasn't a trainee to dismiss. He was a force of nature. As the remaining drones converged, Kale noticed a central control hub on the field. If he could reach it, he could override the drone's programming and end the threat. It was a risky move. Many would be caught or destroyed before reaching it. But Kale didn't hesitate. He ran, dodging, weaving, and using the environment to his advantage. A drone leapt at him, and he flipped over it, landing behind a heavy crate. Another lunged from the side. He kicked it with precise force, sending it stumbling backward. Step by step, he advanced toward the hub. Leora watched from above, her heart pounding. She had seen countless warriors, pilots, and fighters in her life, but she had never seen someone like this. His courage was calm, his mind sharp, his instincts unmatched. Finally, Kale reached the hub. With quick hands, he accessed the controls, overriding the drone's program. One by one, the apex predators slowed, stopped, and then powered down completely. The threat ended as suddenly as it had begun. The hall was silent. Trainees looked at each other in shock. The Academy's instructors approached KL, stunned by what they had witnessed. Leora descended from the observation deck, her eyes fixed on him. "Human," she said softly, almost to herself. "You are remarkable." KL wiped sweat from his brow, breathing heavily but calm. "I was just doing what I could," he replied simply. The alien princess studied him carefully. Her initial judgment that he was just a trainee had been completely wrong. KL had survived where others would have failed. He had led when no one else could. He had faced apex predators, and won not with power alone, but with intelligence, courage, and instinct. For the first time, Leora realized that humans were not to be underestimated. There was something different about them, something that even elite alien warriors could not predict. And Kale, small and unassuming as he appeared, was living proof. As the alarms faded and the academy returned to normal, whispers spread among the trainees and instructors. Kyle was no longer just a human trainee. He was someone extraordinary. Someone the galaxy might not expect, but could never ignore. Leora's mind raced with possibilities. She had thought she knew what humans were capable of. Now she was beginning to understand that she had been wrong. Very wrong. And somewhere in her heart, a spark of curiosity ignited. What else could this human do? The academy was quiet after the chaos. Apex predator drones were secured, the injured trainees were recovering, and alarms had stopped ringing. But the tension in the air remained. Every corner of the academy seemed to whisper about the human trainee who had survived what many elite aliens could not. Kale, wiping sweat from his brow, walked through the hall with careful steps. His mind was still active, calculating and observing. Survival had been just the first part. What came next would test him even further. Princess Leora followed quietly from a distance. She had wanted to meet Kale personally, but not yet. She wanted to see him in action again, to see if his instincts were truly as extraordinary as she had witnessed. The whispers of awe from the instructors and trainees had reached her ears. Humans were not often this effective under pressure, and this one was changing opinions rapidly. The next day, the Academy's council decided on a formal test. It would not be a simulation this time. It would be a controlled encounter with the apex predator drones. Safety measures were in place, but the test would be real enough to challenge even the best trainees. The council wanted to see if Kale's success had been luck or something deeper. Kale stood among the trainees in the outer training field, the sun glinting off the metal structures that served as obstacles. Some of the alien trainees cast uneasy glances at him. A few whispered behind their hands, doubting him. Others were curious, secretly hoping to witness the human's abilities firsthand. Leora's eyes scanned the field from a hovering observation platform. Her violet gaze was sharp and analytical. She had thought Kale had merely been lucky yesterday. But deep down, a seed of doubt had grown into curiosity. Could this human really have instincts that rivaled the finest aliens? The announcement came. Trainees, your challenge begins. Apex predator drones will enter the field in 3, 2, 1. Metallic whirring filled the air. The drones moved with incredible speed, their glowing red eyes scanning for targets. Many alien trainees froze, their muscles tensed, their minds racing. Kyle, however, stepped forward calmly. He didn't panic. He didn't hesitate. He observed the drone's movement patterns carefully. Each drone had a slightly different behavior, and each reacted to its surroundings. KL noted which ones were aggressive, which ones used trickery, and which ones relied on speed. A drone lunged toward a trainee who had frozen in fear. KL sprinted, sliding across the ground, and intercepted the attack. He grabbed a loose training module and slammed it in the drone's path. The drone's momentum sent it crashing into a barrier, giving the trainee a chance to escape. Kale didn't pause. He scanned for the next threat. Leora leaned forward. She noticed something the other observers didn't. Kale was not simply reacting, he was anticipating. Each move he made forced the drones to adapt. but he was always one step ahead. His instincts seemed natural, almost instinctive, not taught. The drones were relentless. One dove from above, aiming straight at Kale. He rolled to the side, grabbed a nearby crate, and used it as a shield. Sparks flew as the drone's claws collided with metal. Kale ducked behind another barrier, and with a quick adjustment of improvised defenses, he redirected the drone's path into a corner, trapping it temporarily. A small group of alien trainees tried to follow Kale's example, but their movements were slow and predictable. The drones easily outmaneuvered them. Kale's presence became the anchor for survival. Trainees instinctively followed his guidance, mimicking his unpredictable movements. The field became a ballet of motion and strategy. Kale moved like water, flowing around obstacles, using the environment to his advantage. He didn't fight for brute force. Instead, he manipulated the drones, turning their aggression against themselves. A drone lunged, only to stumble over a module Kale had pushed moments before. Another crashed into a wall after Kale feinted toward it, then darted in another direction. From above, Leora's surprise grew. She had trained warriors who could handle apex predators with pure strength or advanced weapons. Kyle, with nothing but his mind, instincts, and quick reflexes, was outperforming them all. The most dangerous drones were still in the field, those designed to hunt and adapt to human strategies. Kale noticed a pattern in their attacks. They predicted straight-line movements, but struggled with constant, unpredictable adjustments. He began a calculated plan. He led a group of trainees through narrow corridors and tight passages, forcing the drones to slow and navigate carefully. Using his understanding of the drone's sensors, he created false openings and distractions. One drone followed him aggressively, ignoring the others. Kale lured it toward a series of panels he had quickly rewired earlier. Sparks flew, and the drone stumbled, malfunctioning for a moment. Kale didn't pause. He used that split second to push another trainee to safety. The other trainees watched, astonished. Kale was not just surviving, he was controlling the battlefield. He was improvising, thinking 10 steps ahead, and ensuring others could escape. Fear and hesitation evaporated when they were near him. Leora's pulse quickened. She had underestimated humans. Kale's ability to adapt, think quickly, and act decisively made him unlike any human she had known, or any alien for that matter. Suddenly, one of the drones lunged at Kale directly. He dodged, ducked, and vaulted over a barrier, landing just behind it. But he realized the drone's design allowed it to learn from movements. If he kept moving the same way, it would anticipate him next time. He needed unpredictability. Kale thought fast. He leapt onto a nearby wall, swinging over a group of trainees, and landed behind the drone. Using a nearby energy panel, he caused a temporary surge, confusing the drone's sensors. It spun, unable to track him accurately. KL took the opportunity to disable it with a precise strike to its control module. Sparks erupted, and the drone powered down. Leora's eyes widened in amazement. Kyle wasn't just clever. He was brilliant under pressure. He had survived where others would have fallen. He had led, protected, and controlled the situation, all without panic. The remaining drones were fewer now, but they were smarter, faster, and more unpredictable. Kale's instincts remained sharp. He observed each movement, predicted attacks, and improvised countermeasures. He led the trainees to a central location, a high platform that offered a view of the field. From there, he could guide others while remaining mobile. One trainee, small and timid, froze in terror as a drone approached. Kale sprinted forward, grabbed the trainee, and pulled him into a safer position. "Follow me," he shouted, his voice steady but commanding. Others followed without question. Leora watched from above, captivated. She had seen elite warriors, top pilots, and cunning strategists. But nothing like this. Kale's strength was not in weapons, armor, or training. It was in his mind, his instincts, and his courage. He was not just surviving the apex predators. He was teaching others to survive alongside him. The final drone, the largest and most advanced of all, entered the field. Its glowing red eyes scanned for Kale. The machine moved with precision and intelligence. It lunged forward, faster than anything Kale had faced. But he didn't flinch. He analyzed its approach, noting a slight delay after each attack. Using this, he dodged, rolled, and used the terrain to his advantage. With a calculated series of feints, he forced the drone into a narrow corridor. Its size worked against it, slowing its movements. Kale used a metal panel as a ramp, launching himself onto the drone briefly and slamming a control module against its sensors. Sparks flew, and the drone staggered. Finally, with one last push, Kale activated a panel that disabled the drone entirely. The apex predators were neutralized. The field fell silent except for the heavy breathing of the trainees and the hum of the deactivated drones. Leora descended to meet him. She had never been more certain of one thing: humans were not to be underestimated. Kale had done more than survive. He had led, protected, and triumphed where trained aliens had hesitated. "You survived," she said softly, her voice filled with admiration and disbelief. "You didn't just survive. You controlled the battle." Kale shrugged, wiping sweat from his brow. "I just acted," he said simply. "I watched. I thought. I moved. That's all." But Leora knew it was more than that. Kale's instincts, intelligence, and courage were unmatched. He had faced apex predators and had emerged victorious without relying on weapons, brute strength, or advanced technology. He had relied on himself. The alien trainees around them whispered among themselves, astonished. Some bowed. Some simply stared. Kale's reputation as an extraordinary human spread through the academy instantly. For Leora, the experience was transformative. She had thought humans were fragile, unskilled, and predictable. Now, she knew that humans were clever, adaptable, and courageous. And Kale, the human trainee she had once dismissed, had proven it in a way she could not ignore. The day ended with Kale being escorted to the observation platform. Leora watched him carefully. "This is only the beginning," she said to herself. "We have yet to see what he is truly capable of." And in that moment, Kale, unaware of the full extent of his impact, simply looked out at the academy and the stars beyond, ready for whatever challenge came next. The academy was quiet in the early morning, the sun casting long shadows over the training grounds. Kale stood on the edge of the central platform, watching the horizon, as if the stars themselves were waiting for him. His mind was still alert, still calculating, though the apex predator drones had been neutralized and the field returned to order. Today, however, was not just about survival or training. It was about recognition. Princess Leora descended from her observation platform, her expression unreadable. Her violet eyes studied Kale carefully, noting his posture, his breathing, the calm confidence that radiated from him. The events of the past 2 days had changed everything. What she had initially dismissed as luck or coincidence was now undeniably skill. Kale was extraordinary. "Human," she said, her voice steady but filled with respect. "You have proven much more than I expected, but there is one final test I wish to offer." Kale turned to face her, nodding slightly. "I'm ready," he replied simply. His voice carried no arrogance, only calm determination. The final test was not about drones or combat simulations. It was about strategy, leadership, and ingenuity qualities that were essential for anyone who might lead in the galaxy. Leora had arranged a scenario that combined all these elements. Several elite alien trainees would participate, But the challenge was designed so that brute strength or raw speed alone could not win. Only intelligence, adaptability, and quick thinking could succeed. The participants gathered in the arena, a vast open space filled with structures, barriers, and unpredictable hazards. Leora addressed them all. This is a test of leadership and adaptability. Apex Predator drones will be released again. But this time, your goal is not only to survive. You must guide and protect the group, achieve the objectives, and demonstrate strategy. Only those who can think beyond themselves will succeed. Kale observed the other trainees. Some looked confident, relying on their strength or advanced weapons. Others were wary, remembering the chaos from the previous encounter. Kale did not feel fear. He felt focus. The drones were released. Their red eyes glowed, and they moved with lethal precision. But Kale remained calm. He scanned the field, noting the drones' patterns and the positions of the trainees. Unlike others, he did not rush forward blindly. One trainee, a young alien with long limbs and sharp reflexes, tried to charge at a drone. Kale intercepted, blocking the path and redirecting the drone's movement. "Follow me," he called, guiding the trainee to a safer position. Others, hesitant at first, began to move as Kale moved, instinctively following his lead. Leora watched from above, her admiration growing. Kale was not only surviving but orchestrating the movements of everyone around him. He was turning a chaotic battlefield into an organized flow. His decisions were quick, yet deliberate. Every action had meaning. Every movement had purpose. A particularly large and aggressive drone lunged at the group. Kale assessed the situation in an instant. He noticed a weak spot in the arena's layout, a narrow passage where the drone could be trapped. "Move left, now," he shouted. Trainees followed, and the drone barreled forward, caught in the trap. It thrashed briefly but was immobilized. Kale moved on immediately, never hesitating, always thinking ahead. The challenge continued. Each wave of drones more aggressive than the last. Kale adapted constantly, improvising barriers, redirecting drones, and guiding the trainees to safety. His movements were unpredictable, forcing the drones to overcompensate and stumble. Where others relied on technology, Kale relied on instincts, intelligence, and courage. Several alien trainees began to notice something remarkable. Kale's presence inspired them. When he acted, fear diminished. When he led, others found confidence they had not known before. By the middle of the exercise, the Academy observers whispered among themselves. Kale was not just surviving, he was elevating everyone around him. Leora's pulse quickened. She had always believed that humans were clever, but she had never witnessed anything like this. Kale's combination of instincts, intelligence, and leadership was unmatched. She realized that humans, underestimated and dismissed, possessed qualities that even elite alien warriors struggled to achieve. The final challenge was the largest and most dangerous drone yet. Its design was advanced, capable of learning and adapting faster than any Kale had faced before. Its red eyes glowed brighter, scanning the field for the human who had bested its predecessors. Kale assessed the drone calmly. He noticed its patterns, its timing, and its slight delay after rapid maneuvers. He formulated a plan. Instead of confronting it head-on, he led the group through a series of feints and diversions. The drone pursued him relentlessly, but each time he shifted direction or used the terrain, the drone faltered, overextended, and slowed. At the perfect moment, Kale led the drone into a narrow chute. Its size and momentum worked against it. Kale vaulted over a nearby barrier, grabbing a control module along the way. He struck the drone at its weak point with precision, and it powered down instantly. The field fell silent. Trainees and observers alike stared in disbelief. Kale had not only survived the final Apex Predator challenge, but had led and protected the group, demonstrating strategy, adaptability, and courage beyond any expectations. Leora descended into the arena, her gaze fixed on Kale. She approached him slowly, aware that this human had earned her full respect. "You are extraordinary," she said, her voice calm but full of admiration. "You have not only survived where others would fail, but you have led, protected, and inspired those around you. Your instincts, intelligence, and courage are unmatched." Kale shook his head slightly, modest but proud. "I just did what felt right," he replied. "I watched. I thought. I acted. That's all." But Leora knew it was more than that. His simplicity, clarity, and instinctive brilliance were what set him apart. Other humans might be clever, but Kyle represented something extraordinary: the unpredictability, resilience, and ingenuity of humanity itself. The trainees who had followed him whispered among themselves. Some bowed, some nodded in respect, and others simply stared, amazed. Kale's actions had proven a truth that few had expected. Humans, underestimated and overlooked, could stand toe-to-toe with the galaxy's finest. Leora approached Kyle, her violet eyes meeting his. "You have changed my perception of your kind," she said softly. "I once thought humans were fragile, unskilled, and predictable. Now I know the truth. You are capable of greatness that even elite alien warriors cannot match." Kale's expression remained calm. "I only did what I could," he repeated. Yet Leora could see that this human had achieved something remarkable. His actions spoke louder than words, demonstrating qualities that could inspire, lead, and survive in ways that others could not. The Academy Council gathered around, their faces reflecting a mix of astonishment and respect. They had witnessed something unique. A human trainee who had survived, led, and triumphed where others would have failed. Kale's reputation was no longer just that of a student, it was that of a force to be reckoned with, a symbol of humanity's potential. Leora turned to the council. "This human is exceptional," she declared. "We must recognize his skill, his instincts, and his courage. He has earned respect not through power or technology, but through intelligence, adaptability, and leadership. He has proven that humans should never be underestimated." The council nodded in agreement. Whispers of admiration spread through the academy. Trainees who had doubted KL now looked at him with awe. Instructors, who had questioned his abilities, now respected him deeply. Kale had become a symbol of what humanity could achieve in a galaxy full of advanced alien species. As the sun set over the academy, Kale stood on the platform once more. The stars reflected in his eyes, and the quiet hum of the academy surrounded him. He had survived apex predators, led the untrained, and earned the respect of the galaxy's finest. Yet, he remained humble, his mind already thinking about the challenges that lay ahead. Leora approached him one last time that evening. "Kale," she said softly, "you have shown me something I did not expect. Humans are not just clever. They are resilient, courageous, and ingenious. You have earned my respect. More than that, you have earned the respect of the Academy and all who witnessed your actions." Kale looked at her and smiled faintly. "Thank you," he said simply. "I didn't do it for respect. I did it because it had to be done." Leora nodded. "And yet, in doing so, you have shown the galaxy the true potential of humanity." For the first time, she realized that humans were not to be underestimated, that they carried within them a spark of ingenuity and courage that could rival the greatest alien civilizations. Kyle had become more than a trainee. He had become a symbol, a proof that humans, underestimated and overlooked, could rise to meet any challenge and earn respect even from apex predators. the Academy was forever changed. Stories of Kale's bravery and brilliance spread across worlds. He was no longer just a human trainee. He was a living example of humanity's potential. A reminder that courage, intelligence, and ingenuity could overcome even the most formidable threats. And somewhere, high above the training fields, Leora watched him with quiet admiration, knowing that this human had changed her understanding of the galaxy and of humans forever.